Welcome back to the Overclock Workshop. My name is Jason and this is the second video in my workshop renovation series. Time to make some upgrades to the building to repair a few things and add a couple of new features. First, we move things around to make room to work on the big improvement, air conditioning. It was during the unboxing at home that I realized I had not been paying close enough attention in my excited purchase of the new AC. Yes. My purchase was for a AC unit with a 220 volt circuit. My shop doesn't have a 220 volt outlet. Time to rethink the plan. Third day or fourth day of putting in the AC. You can see we've cut in the new hole for the AC unit. We took two of the 2x10s that we pulled off the wall from the other shelving, cut those down, made a header board. We had to sandwich them together with some of the pegboard that came off the walls to space it out to get to the right height. So you can see it's kind of flush. We're going to have to do something about these nails, these screws. I think they didn't go in far enough. The other thing we found out when we put in our jack studs is that the outlets from here, the outlets from here to here actually ran through this line here, through this space in this hole in between. So what we had to do is cut the line here, and since you're not supposed to bury a junction, and there wasn't quite enough wire to do one junction box here. In the middle, what we've done is put in two new outlets and ran them here, because you never have enough outlets in the shop, right? The other thing we've done, this is the 220 line for the AC unit. It's going to go in right here. We've got it run in down the wall. It's stapled up right here. You probably can't see it from this angle. Goes out to the floor under the shop, and then it comes up over there by the wall panel. We also need to do a little more work here. We've got to put in some flashing and tar paper here to protect this water, and then shims up here to actually see daylight out the top. So we'll get this all shimmed up, put the insulation back in, and then we'll be ready to put in the AC unit, which that'll happen later this afternoon. No use to worry about that till the power's run, right? After the new 220 volt circuit was put installed and ready working, we were able to close up the wall by reinserting the insulation and a few screws to hold it in place. Then it was time to use an oscillating tool to cut the new outlet holes for the 3 outlets in the lower panel that we installed earlier. A few quick measurements, and this is an easy thing to do, but it turns out it's harder to line up than you thought if you're not careful. But with the outlet in, we were able to turn on the AC unit and watch it start working, cooling the room while we worked. You can see the temperature in the pop-out window going down as we work around the room, preparing the new upper panel to go around the AC unit. While Jerry holds the panel firmly in the corner and flat against the wall, I use a straight edge to mark the edges of the AC unit onto the plywood so we can cut it out. Double checking the layout lines one more time, we then head over to our improvised cutting surface to do the sawing. Using a straight edge and a felt tip marker, I make the lines I drew earlier bolder so they're easy to follow while I'm using the circular saw to cut out the opening. Jerry helps me prepare the cuts and steadies the plywood while I plunge cut with the circular saw to do the inside to inside cuts. Making these cuts freehand is not the easiest thing, as it requires careful attention to detail. Using a straight edge to align and guide the cuts would have allowed for a straighter opening with a cleaner cut line. However, with careful attention to detail, it is possible to get a successful cut using a freehand method. As you can see here, we moved to place the plywood on the wall and around the AC unit, but it turns out our cuts weren't quite right and we had to make a second pass. After some careful trimming, we were able to fit the panel into place around the AC unit and close up all the gaps. With this panel properly cut, we can now nail up the wall and then put the other panels up to finish out this phase of the improvements.
With all the physical improvements made, it's time to clean up and prepare the area for paint. Before doing the paint, we need to remove all the workbenches and loose materials to make sure that we can get to all the surfaces. Next, I want to use blue painter's tape to mask off all the various areas, light fixtures, and outlets that I don't want paint to get into during the application. One of the last things I want to do before painting is to brush the walls, clean off all the loose dirt, and find out that I missed an outlet cover that I need to take down. Once this is done, I'll vacuum the shop thoroughly and we're ready for paint.